Hey everyone, I'm Riley.
And I'm Todd, and welcome to this week's that's a new one. This week's episode of Barber Cuts, and we are talking about Abbey Road by the Beatles, 1969. And we have a new face for those that may be watching this that's joining us. Our audio listeners will have to wait just a few moments, but this is Charles Mooney. Charles, welcome to Barber Cuts. You are our official first guest, which is probably a way bigger deal than Abbey Road ever was or ever could dream to be. But
I'm honored to be here. It's a
so
big deal to me.
so Charles, tell us we mentioned in the last episode, Charles and I are co-workers, but that's how I know this about him. But Charles, tell us about your musical journey, I guess, what you did before you became a programmer.
Okay. Yeah, as far as my musical qualifications go, uh, I guess super fan is a cliche, but I was the guy who spent all his money on CDs and albums. I had a job in the neighborhood cutting lawns. I'd finish a lawn and then I'd go get down to a place in Houston called Evolution Records and Tapes and just be like, I'll take that and that, then go cut another lawn, get another album. Um, so I was a huge fan of a lot of groups, but one of the biggest was the Beatles. I'm of the generation that came after they broke up. I actually, as a kid, listened to Paul McCartney and Wings before I discovered the Beatles. Um, I guess my first introduction to the Beatles was for years they had a Saturday morning cartoon where actors played the Beatles and kind of got into hijinks with every episode. But I was a record collector, music aficionado, all types of music, rock, punk, hard rock, some country. The only thing I didn't care for, which unfortunately my father loved, was opera
Oh,
and bluegrass. I love country, bluegrass not so much. And opera, uh, I've tried, but it's just not for me. At any
it's
rate,
because it's in a foreign language. You can't understand
true.
it.
Um, so I was born in Memphis, but grew up in Houston, Texas. And when it came time to choose a college, I still had a ton of relatives in Memphis and applied at what was then known as Southwestern at Memphis and is now Rhodes College. So I came up here in the early 80s. Um, I guess one illustration of my fandom is my poor father agreed to let me bring my entire record collection, which was then probably 700 albums, not CDs,
Nice.
albums. And so as we headed from Houston to Memphis, the Pontiac Bonneville that was my 18th birthday gift used was like this
Yeah.
going around the interstate. And yes, eventually we had a flat tire. It was August, and I think
Ooh,
we were still in Texas when that happened, but August in Memphis, August in Texas, it's still awful. So, without any complaints, Dad, changed the tire, didn't say a single thing about, look what you've gotten me into, son. And we continue on to
that's because
Memphis.
he was singing opera in his head that was calming him down.
That might have been it. It might have been like a mantra, a Pavarotti mantra of while an undergrad, I was a college DJ for just about every year I was there, and that was kind of fun. Being on the radio. After that, very briefly, took a straight job working as a claims adjuster at an insurance company. I was an English major in college, so they're kind of the options of things to do were either teach, write, or I don't know what, but I did write a little bit, mostly articles and almost always about music. After a couple of years of being in the insurance world, I realized I was really a fish out of water. Um, Told my father that I was going to go to business school so I could then leave work without getting in trouble for not having a job. Uh, but then I started writing for a local music magazine and occasionally going to class to learn how to be an accountant or whatever. Uh, the class part didn't last too long, but I enjoyed writing for this locally published magazine called the Memphis Star. They went out of business when desktop publishing became huge. And after a couple of years of just doing odd jobs, I came up with the idea of, well, if no one else is going to do anything for this music town in terms of the music scene, let me get a computer. I borrowed my sister's old Mac Plus from 1987 and put out a monthly music magazine for almost 5 years, from 91 to 95. It was a lot of fun and it made absolutely no money. But towards the end of my of my book publishing or magazine publishing days, I became interested in computers. And that's kind of how I sort of pivoted into uh, being in tech support and then programming. But all along the way, I never stopped collecting records, collecting CDs, writing articles, like I said, about artists I liked or in some cases didn't. And That's kind of taken we were, it's very difficult in Memphis to make a living in the music industry. And if you're not a musician, it's really difficult. So at some point, I realized that I was better served by getting a job that was, more in computers than entertainment. And I think my wife was really thrilled about that too. So uh, that's kind of where I switched careers, but never stopped, you know, listening to music
Yeah.
and having my favorite artists. And the Beatles are definitely one of my favorites.
So it's three B's, right? So the Beatles, what are the others?
Uh,
D-
um, yeah, back when vinyl records were supposedly extinct and not a thing, I had uh, a guest room in my house that had walls of bookshelves with nothing but vinyl albums. And I'm looking at them. My magazine is gone. I've got tons of CDs. One of the great things about having a publication dealing with music is I got on a bunch of record company mailing lists. So I was getting like stacks of CDs every week.
Yeah.
And some of them were really good. But anyway, that's all over with. I've got CDs and there's all this vinyl just sitting around taking up space. So I called my brother, who is a musician, and I didn't want the back and forth of haggling with a used record store. So I said, why don't we just load these up in your van? We'll take them to the public library. We'll donate them. And then, should I ever want to play one of these vinyl records again, they'll be sitting right there in the library waiting for you. So I took everything except the Beatles, the Beach Boys, and Bruce Springsteen. Um, we one Sunday we loaded up the loading dock for the Memphis Public Library with a crazy amount of albums. And as I discovered, like right when we finished, my neighbor told me when I said, "Hey, we just don't donate all this stuff to the library, all these albums." He said, "That's great, Charles. You know, they'll probably make a good deal of money off that." I was like, "Make money? What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, they they sell those, you know, the Friends of the Library sales that they have." Yeah. Well, they take all those records or books that people donate and they sell them. And I'm like, oh no. But I was not about to try and get them all back and load them home. So yes, I have my favorites, and it's the three Bs: uh, uh, Beatles, Beach Boys, Bruce, and uh, yeah, still listening. And actually, I bought a Beatles box set not too long ago, the Sergeant Pepper one. So
Thanks.
they're still finding ways to get money out of me, even
Yeah,
though all this stuff is streaming now.
very good. So, we I can also attest that before we really went hybrid, Charles was always fun to see how close you could walk into his office and stand behind him and start doing things before he realized you were there because he had his earphones on, much like the ones he's got on now, over the year, so he couldn't hear anything. And so we would then we would try to go in and have two people go in and like carry on a conversation to see if he ever heard us and would turn around. So I can attest that Charles was still listening to music
Or go in and steal a
years later.
popsicle.
Yeah, yeah. So all right.
Yes, yeah, we y'all did do that to me. I remember once having an entire conversation like this, looking at the screen, headphones on, and Todd is contributing, saying, "What about this? What about that? That?" And then he goes, "Finally, I'm sitting right behind
Oh
you."
yeah.
And it was like a 15 or 20-minute
I
conversation.
guess that was on Slack, wasn't it? When we used
That
Slack before we switched over to Teams. Yeah,
right.
carried on a whole conversation sitting in the chair behind him. So, all right. So, here we go. I guess let's start with our least favorite albums or least favorite albums
Songs.
and least favorite songs from Abbey Road. Riley, do you want to kickstart us?
Sure, I can. One of my least favorites was Sun King. Um, I, I just didn't. It just felt like well, okay. I'm nervous. I'm saying it. I don't like songs.
To a Beatles
One of my
super
least.
fan,
I know.
gonna hurt his
One of
feelings.
I'm
no, I
already
just have to give
offended.
him. No, one of them was Sun King. It just seems like an intro song. Like it's kind of like with Pink Floyd, where we talk about I wouldn't necessarily listen to the song by itself, but when like leading into other things, it kind of works. But it just didn't stand out to me the way a lot of their other songs can be stand out and individual, even when they sound better in a list of songs, if that makes sense. And then my other least favorite was Polythene Pam. As a lyric person, the lyrics just kind of catch you off guard on this song. And it's also not like a super standout song where you can kind of like ignore the lyrics. So it just kind of ended up being down there just because it catches you off guard.
And so also in full disclosure, Riley and I started these before and talking about them just before we ever started recording. And I'll be curious, do you remember if those were the same two from the first time we actually talked about this before we recorded?
I know Polythene Pam was.
Okay.
But the other one, I have no clue
Yeah.
what has
I
changed.
because I know one of mine changed and but I was just curious if yours was too. Charles, do you have least favorites?
Yes, I
or
do.
a least favorite?
A least favorite, and I kind of thought that all the both of you might pitch in on this one. Maxwell Silverhammer.
Yeah.
No, 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 no,
I
no,
do
no, no, no,
remember
no.
this. I do remember this conversation from the first time we talked. That is as well my least favorite, Charles.
Mm-mm.
So, thank you
No.
for providing
But
confirmation.
Maxwell's Silverhammer is like in my top five. I love that
well,
song.
I'll say this: it is a great song. It just happens to be the worst song off of a great album.
Yeah,
And actually, all the other Beatles except Paul felt the same way.
yeah.
That
I mean,
song took the longest for them to record because Paul wanted to get the take just right. And George later was like, "Oh, I couldn't stand that song over and over again. Paul just kept making us, bang, bang." And we just all thought it was uh, the Liverpudlian slang was
yeah,
fruity, which uh, I think just means it was corny.
yeah. I
Um,
think Ringo called it the quote, the worst track we ever had to record.
This is just, I mean, there's
So,
something about it that's so charming to me. I think that's what gets me. Is like it is like a childish song almost. Like it
yeah,
without any context to what the lyrics are, it sounds like a kid's song almost.
yeah.
And I think it's just charming. Like the bang bang is very annoying, but at the same time, it's like it's kind of precious. It kind of makes me like just love them.
Well,
As like, that's so
three
cute.
out of four Beatles disagree with you, Riley.
Okay, well, they
Oh,
continue. They,
what do they know,
I'll,
right?
I'll take them on it.
All right, Charles, what else about old Maxwell Silverhammer? Anything else?
and see, that's where it's tough. I'm like, least favorite, that one, and that's more because I've heard it enough. Um, Gosh, I hate to say it, but in terms of least favorite, can that be number one and number two? I
It
don't
very
have
well.
another
I'm
song that I shy away from that I maybe I want you, she's so heavy, which I feel guilty for
yeah,
saying
yeah.
because
So I being a super fan, as you know, of Pearl Jam, I only picked one on that one, so I'm not going to force you to pick any others. Maxwell's Silver Hammer is good enough for me, just because, you had a music magazine, you agree with me, as do three of the four Beatles, and Riley is standing alone on this one.
He said it
So,
was a good
um,
song. Still, just not the
oh,
best song
I
yeah,
on the
could make
album.
an I could make an argument for the fact that it is actually a great song. It's catchy, it's poppy, it's almost a nursery rhyme, but there's this subversive story behind it
yeah,
about
it's about a serial
a
killer.
serial killer.
Yeah,
And so
Okay.
it's what they call dark humor, and it's it's amusing
yeah,
the
I
first
don't
the first 100 times.
yeah.
I don't I don't know if you heard any of these or when I mentioned these, Charles, but there's an album that I or an EP that I really like called Music City Murder Ballad. And it's three songs about murders set in Nashville, and it follows the murderers, or in one, it's like the police officer. So it's kind of right up my alley. It's talking about a serial killer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They
But
find me. They find
yeah,
me.
this is another one that we've talked about, artists that do this, is that you have a dark subject matter and then there's happy music on top of it. I think they, as dark as Serial Killer is, I think they tried to match that with the music and almost went whimsical to me. But I personally, I'm going to blame the song for the downfall of the Beatles. But that's just me. Um, just so I'm not going to force Charles into another least favorite, but the I my other one, and I'm not really considering Her Majesty a song because it really wasn't listed. It was a hidden track. But man, that's disappointing. They should have just left that off. But it should have ended with the end. It was
But
so well named. But my other least favorite song, and this kind of goes back to last week's episode, is Because. It was just slow. That's the one that actually swapped out on me. Listening to it this time, and maybe because a couple times I listened to it on the drive to Knoxville and the drive home from Knoxville. And so driving and that slow song coming on, like that wasn't a good combination. So maybe it's a recency bias on it. But so Because and Maxwell Silver Hammer, and like Her Majesty, at least on Spotify, it's like the only one on this album that, I mean, it doesn't even have a million streams. So like it may be the only Beatles. I'd be curious. Maybe the only Beatles song that doesn't have a million streams. But anyway. So favorites. So Riley, what are your favorites?
Okay. So one of my favorites is I Want You. She's so heavy. Um, I I like the bluesy feel that it kind of gives. And I don't know. I enjoyed it every time I listened to it. I like the random like slow down beat and then going back. I just liked how they played with that. But my favorite is this time listening was Oh Darling. Um, I it's just a sweet song and it's we talked about it last week. I'm not a big fan of like a sappy sweet song that's like your classic love song, and this is not that. It's still a sappy, sweet song, but doesn't sound like your classic, for lack of better words, obnoxious love song. Um, and just the way they sing "Oh Darling" just fits with. You can picture someone singing it to someone, or like saying it to someone and singing their heart out. And I just really liked that visual that this song kind of provided, along with the lyrics being
Yeah.
really sweet.
Yeah, I like that one too. It was a good song. I really like the clean cut of the chorus, and then when he gets in, I'm a sucker for a raspy voice, and that
Hmm.
raspiness comes in the chorus is nice.
Yeah.
Um, So, Charles, what about, well, I'll go ahead and go, and then that way I can pass it over to you. So, and you can maybe tell us where we're wrong. So, my second favorite song is actually three songs. So it's the combo there of Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight, and The End. Um, and maybe it's that way because that's the way I always heard it on the radio. It seemed like those three were always together, and so um, they're the last three songs of the huge medley that ends the album, and so Golden Slumbers is like a minute and a half. Carry That Weight's a minute and a half. The End is 2 minutes. So altogether, right around a 5 minute song, but they just seem to go together in the shifts and the way that they make. And one of the neat things that I saw about The End was where somebody said that this was the last known new recording that involved all four members of the group, which, if that is actually the case, that is quite apropos that it was The End that they did it on. And so um, so I guess so those three really go together for me, even though they are three separate songs. And much like Riley, my favorite song was I Want You, She's So Heavy. And I just liked it. The had more guitar in it, more bluesy, and it seems like it's, and I guess it is, two different songs that keep competing back and forth with each other, and it, written by Lennon, about his relationship with Yoko Ono, and it almost, again, I don't know if this is the case, but it's almost as if he's, fighting that internal battle of I want you, and then in the other side, she's so heavy of just the weight of what, you know, their relationship was, and then going back and forth to the wait, I want you, wait, it's a lot, I want you, it's a lot. The guitar solo in it is really, really good. And then it always gets me the first time I listen to it. After that, I remember, but it's got the unusual ending where it just cuts off mid, and every time I like, oh, I skipped something, I hit something to make it go to the next song, and I was like, oh, nope, that's just the way it ends. So that's my favorite too. So Charles, favorites from you, or where did we go wrong in ours, or did we get something right?
Neither of you went wrong. Even though I kind of started to say if I had to pick a second least favorite, it was "I Want You."
Yeah, no, I,
No,
I
that
I knew.
song's an absolute screamer.
Yeah,
It's if you want the anger, if you want the sarcasm, intensity, John Lennon's your guy.
yeah,
Paul could do the sweet stuff. He could do the rough stuff too. He wrote Helter Skelter, which probably
yeah,
the
true.
craziest song that they ever did in terms of hard rock. So I'm totally cool with "I Want You." She's so heavy.
And
Uh,
and that's the thing before you get going, like that's the thing with a lot of these albums that we've done. We call them least favorites, and sometimes that is bad, making it sound like we don't like a song, but it's especially on a song on an album like Abbey Road, or really anything by the Beatles. They're all such good songs. To say one is a least favorite, like we're not equating that to we don't like the song. It's just of the how many songs are on this album? 17, if we count Her Majesty, which I will. 17 songs. Like you're gonna be naturally drawn to more than, some more than the other. So yeah, we're not saying we don't like any of them except for Maxwell's Silver Hammer. All right, so
No.
Charles, keep going with your favorites. I didn't want to steal
okay.
it there or sidetrack you.
No, I actually agree with you about uh, what I call, some people call the medley at the end of side two, because, and I don't think it starts with Golden Slumbers. It starts with, might even start with Because, but you get these little snippets that there's no space. They go one into the other. And actually, You Never Give Me Your Money.
Mhm.
Part of the piano part on that is tweaked and becomes Golden Slumbers. Um, but yeah, that last sort of medley with those songs strung together, and then the ending, which is just epic, of "The Love You Take is Equal to the Love You Make," um, is it's in showbiz, in music, the laziest thing performers can do, although in the past it was mostly in concert, was you could tell which of their hits they hated because they'd slap them all into a medley. What the Beatles did here was they had fragments of these songs,
Yeah,
and they came up with the idea, which probably in anyone else's hands might not have been that great an idea. Let's stitch these together, and they had certain melodies that they would have kind of pop in and out, and so this sort of showbiz cliche, more of a cliche now than back then, is it could be argued it's almost their finest hour. If nothing else, it's the Beatles going out on an absolute home run. Melodically, uh, you know, back in '69, you had hard rock groups with 20-minute guitar solos, Led Zeppelin with a 15-minute drum solo, and the Beatles come in and they do a minute each. Here's what we can do, just like you guys, but
Yeah.
we're not overstaying our welcome. And then boom, and yeah, it's over. Her Majesty was kind of a little witty joke at the end. Not really. It's there, but it's sort of there. It's not listed on the album. It's
Right.
just kind of there as a little. Okay, we said goodbye, but how about this little cute thing at the end? Because they're British,
Right.
Her Majesty doesn't have a lot to say, which probably only Paul could have gotten away with saying that. But yeah, it's that final 8 minutes or whatever it is that is just uh, the peak of the album.
Yeah.
Uh, One other thing, and we haven't even used his name. What is notable about Abbey Road is, I guess, first that it's not really a revolutionary album. They're not stretching the boundaries of everything. Uh, it's just they're doing what they do best with a fantastic collection of songs. But the unsung hero on this album is George Harrison because he has two songs, one of which was a huge hit. Something was a single. I can't remember if Here Comes the Sun was, but up until that point, he's like the second class songwriter in the Beatles. Um, in the movie Get Back, you see them all working together on songs, and they kind of get a little bored when George presents something. But on Abbey Road, something and Here Comes the Sun are like you actually wouldn't be laughed out of the room if you said, "Hey, I think the two best songs off this Beatle album are Here Comes the Sun and Something."
Yeah.
I mean,
True.
they're still
Yeah.
played everywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
that's with Here Comes the Sun. Uh it's unfortunate that it gets played so much. It's like everyone's first ukulele song that they learn is like Here Comes the Sun and Riptide. Like everyone I knew growing up who played any type of guitar, their first song was Here Comes the Sun. And so that just became my idea of Here Comes the Sun. But no, I think something in Here Comes the Sun would be pretty fair favorite too.
so that boded well for George's solo career when they ultimately, not long after this album, called it quits.
Yeah.
Um, and Frank Sinatra did a version of Something, which was real unusual because, as you all discussed last time, Frank Sinatra and swinging and the ballads, that's not really rock and roll. But he so enjoyed the ballad Something, he started covering it in concert. And he'd get up there and say, "This is one of the best love songs written in the last 50 years by Lennon and McCartney." And then he would sing Something, which was written by George. Later, I'm sure
That's awesome.
somebody told him, wrong songwriters. But or can you
Poor
imagine
George.
your George, and like, "Hey, Frank Sinatra did your song, George," and he's like, "Wow," and then it says it's a Lennon McCartney song. But yeah,
Poor
um,
George.
yeah. But this is a really almost a flawless album, uh, and there's a reason people still love it today.
Yeah. All right. So, let's continue that and we'll say why. So our question we asked each week as we're going through these albums is why should somebody go and listen to this album? And so before we really talk about the album, a lot of times we make sure that, and this one probably we don't need to do, but I'll throw some of these in here anyway. So the Beatles. So 1960 is when they formed, right, Charles? 60 to 70. So 10 years, absolute massive hits every time they released an album. And so depending on the number you look at, they are the best selling music artist of all time. And as of 2017, they had the most number one hits on the Billboard Hot 100 with 20. They also won an Academy Award for Best Original Song Score for the film Let It Be in 1971. Um, Ironically, 71 after they broke up in 70. But and just because Charles, I know you enjoy the Beach Boys, they are I can't remember who it was that said it, but they were heavily influenced by Pet Sounds album from the Beach Boys, and that Pet Sounds is number two on the Rolling Stone top 500 album list that we reference quite a bit. They have a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2014, and the Beatles were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988. And what I also find interesting is that each of the four members, so Paul, John, Ringo, and George, are also all individually in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I'm not sure how many bands that is can actually say that to where the band itself, but then all the members individually have been added into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that's just the type of musician that we're talking about here. So that's the Beatles. So why should people go and listen to this album? So I guess Riley, we'll start with you, and then we'll turn the floor over to Charles, or Charles. Maybe we should start with Charles. You're the super fan. We don't want to steal any of your thunder.
Uh,
Why
actually,
other than the album cover, which is iconic in its own right, why should people go listen to Abbey Road?
um, the simplest answer is the quality of the songs. They endure. This album, for the first time in a few albums, has just these marvelous three-part harmonies that the Beatles hadn't done in since like the mid 60s. I mean, because Here Comes the Sun King, yeah, okay, you may not like the song, but them singing together had this trademark Beatles sound vocally that they updated for their final run at an album.
Yeah, I thought I
Uh,
even saw somewhere where there was a song on here, and I can't remember which one it was, where all four of them harmonized at one point, which they very, very rarely did. You talking about three of them doing it. I can't remember but which song it was, but there was even one of them on here where all four of them were harmonizing together. I think it's one of those in the medley, but which I was like, oh, I didn't realize that.
and really, to me, there really is something for everybody on this album. Um, even, and I never considered it as my least favorite, but the charming kids song Octopus's Garden, written by Ringo, probably with a little help. But uh, I was listening to it yesterday while I was walking the dog, and yeah, I know I'd like to be under the sea and all that. And it's just a catchy, unforgettable song. It's sort of Yellow Submarine revisited,
Yeah.
but it's just so good you don't care. It's just such a happy little song sung by a guy in his, everyman voice. And I don't think you could play that for a kid uh, and have them not go, "Ooh, neato."
Right.
I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
Right.
I could be wrong.
Like
So, and it's just not a bad song anyway. There's a great guitar solo in there too. So the record,
That little riff at the beginning is nice too. Just
yeah. Um, I mean, all the songs are, I guess you'd say, catchy, and none of them overstay their welcome. It's just, and as a final statement, which funny thing is that when I was buying records and my friends were, it was before the internet. A lot of people thought that the Beatles' final album was Let It Be, the one with and we were all like, yeah, okay, that's okay. I guess they were running out of steam, but the truth is they shelved Let It Be, came back to do this one album, uh, and in the back of their heads was, we're going to go out on a high note. Um, and they did.
Yeah. I saw that too when I was looking at this. And again, I'm not I don't listen heavily to the Beatles, but I saw where this was their 11th studio album. So the next to last one that was released. But yet it was mostly recorded after Let It Be that became their last released album. And so it's really neat to see that even though this was not the last, it was mostly of their last recorded session music, which interesting how all that works, but still neat. So
But yeah, I mean, in terms of why should and it to me it still sounds contemporary production wise. A lot of the old Beatle albums, as time has passed, have been like, remixed and done all this stuff with it to try and make it sound a little more modern.
yeah,
This is the one album that when it came time to remix it, uh, uh, the producer's son, George Martin, who sort of took over for him after George passed away, said, "We're leaving this one alone. There's nothing that needs to be changed because it just, it was recorded in a very modern facility for 69 and it just sounds, it doesn't sound dated to me. That's me.
yeah,
Could sound dated to anybody else, but so, and sometimes it gets forgotten because, nothing wild and crazy happened around it. Like, the White Album was all four of them kind of doing their own thing. And it was a double album. Sergeant Pepper, of course, changed the cultural landscape of music and fashion. This was just a really, really fantastic album. And it was Sayonara.
yeah,
That's it. That's all, folks. And boy, talk about going out on a high note.
yeah, yeah. And and for me, and I know Riley, you talked about it. I mean, the like I will admittedly skip Maxwell Silver Hammer, but that's the only one I'll skip. And again, just the whimsical nature of it, like it just I don't know. But I agree, Charles. Like it's, and again, I'm not a huge Beatles fan. I mean, I like the Beatles. Not one that I would consistently go to pick up and listen to. But going through this one, again, even more so on the way home from Knoxville, I was like, you know, this is really good. Like, coming back to, I was like, okay, this is this is this is good stuff. And again, there's some oddities in there that maybe I don't understand because I haven't listened to, all the Beatles albums and all of that, but um, but it's very good. So, the other thing that I want to mention is, we oftentimes we talk about again, why I listen to it, just so some people that want numbers, it on the Rolling Stones Top 500, it's number five. Um, and again, number one, we've already done, so Marvin Gaye. Number two was Pet Sounds that we just mentioned that influenced this one at number five. And I think on our list we've got three and four too. But I just don't know when they're popping in because we're not going in any particular order. And then this album was also inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame the first year it was eligible, which um, you know, brings up a question to chat about, which I think I've seen theories and philosophies on it, but I guess they have 11 Grammys, I think. Um, which is not that many when
No.
you think about it. And so I'd love to get your take, Charles, on why you think they are light in the Grammy department. Not that that really measures how great somebody is, but generally they go fairly well hand in hand. But
Um,
what was going on that would have stopped them, do you think?
uh, as innovative as they were, these were long-haired, drug-taking, British guys that not everybody understood, and they grudgingly, some older people in the industry would be like, "Well, yeah, that's a good song, but uh, and the Grammys especially was always like 10 steps behind public tastes. Um, uh, so yeah,
All the people voting were your Sinatras that hated the newfound rock and roll.
there was some of that, and I learned about the Grammys and when they started from your Sinatra episode. But had they started the Grammys when Sinatra was, you know, sort of at his first commercial peak and girls were screaming at his concerts, he wouldn't have gotten a Grammy then.
Yeah,
It the Grammys, and it's gotten better and better, but it's always been a joke that getting a Grammy is almost the unhippest thing, a 60s or 70s rocker. So the Beatles got Grammys grudgingly almost,
yeah,
and it never bothered them. Um, you know, uh, and that was true of all the cool artists back then. As the Grammys evolved and some of the people in the industry who make those kind of decisions and decide on awards, as the generations got, the younger people got more and more into it, it got more sort of hipper and hipper. But the Grammys was always about the biggest hit. And even though the Beatles, uh, you know, had tons of hits, they were like almost too revolutionary for the Grammys was an establishment award.
yeah.
So there was culture clash uh, quite a bit when it
Yeah,
came to rock and roll in the Grammys. Um,
I like watching the Grammys, but it still bothers me sometimes. A lot of the songs that get it are just like just the most popular, most basic or mainstream. Like, and that's not discrediting the song. It's just saying like it's like Grammys doesn't really reward like innovation the way that I think they should. And then sometimes, most of the times, it's with the new artist or best new artist of the year. They have some really skewed takes on like new artists and stuff. I'm biased though,
I was
because
about to say you're
Noah,
just salty because Noah Khan didn't get in.
I okay, I am, but that's objectively the right thing to be salty about because like, are you kidding? Like, look at what he's become. Like, that's insane to like I don't know, to like not. everyone was upset about that, even if you weren't a Noah Kahn fan. But I still think most of the times nowadays you see one person leaving with all of the Grammys and all of these smaller artists who may have done something way more innovative, like get discredited for their music just because they were trying something new. And I just don't think that's in the spirit of music per se.
Yeah, true.
And it's not. And believe it or not, it's gotten so much better than it used to be. Um, and when they started trying to get hip, like the Beatles, not the Beatles, I'm sorry, the Eagles got Album of the Year for Hotel California, which was a big deal. It's like a classic album. And none of them went to accept it because they didn't care. They didn't think they were going to win anyway. And who cares about that? And so John Denver had to accept the award for the Eagles as to what the album of the year was. And he was kind of square. He probably had a ton of Grammys,
Yeah.
but they've gotten a little better. But yeah, I can't think of the last time I watched a Grammy ceremony, but I just picture Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift over and over again,
Yeah.
It's
which
the
is
Taylor
not.
Swift, Olivia
Beyonce.
Rodrigo, Beyonce, Sabrina Carpenter is up there now. Yeah, it's pretty much pop that everyone
Yeah.
is very well versed in.
And again, not that that music is bad by any means. But
No, I listen to it
it's
sometimes.
just popular, it's called pop, like we've said before, it's called pop music for a reason. So
Mhm.
um
It's like this album not having that many Grammys is like the only thing I can picture is like Leonardo DiCaprio, poor guy, never getting anything, and he's like considered one of the best actors of all times, and he just recently got his first Oscar, and that was like a running bit. And I feel
Yeah,
like this is kind of the same thing. Like,
yeah.
well,
it is.
considered one of
Yeah.
the best albums of all time, but just got lost in the mix.
Yeah, and
It's,
go ahead, Charles.
oh, and what they do with the Oscars is somebody who gets neglected over and over again, you know, when he's 80 will get a lifetime achievement award to sort of so that the Oscar people can atone for
Yeah.
looking the other way.
And the Grammys did that with the Beatles. They did give a lifetime achievement award or something in 2014 to 2004, somewhere in there. But yeah. No, 2014. Yeah. But and that was after I guess two of them had already passed away, right?
Yeah.
So I know Lennon was, and so yeah. All right. Anything else on why people should go listen to it?
I was just going to reiterate something Charles has already said. I think the biggest reason to listen to this is Beatles is such a big name, and Abbey Road is really where Abbey Road encapsulates what the Beatles kind of are. They hit every different genre that they ever hit. Even with you talking about like coming back to Yellow Submarine, but I think with I Want You, I think of Revolution from the White Album and that bluesy feel. And like they just incorporate so many different things from all of their albums. And it is like their best. They hit their stride and then decide like that's it. We've done it, you know. Um,
All because of
I know
Maxwell's
that
Silver Hammer.
happens out of the place. But no, but I think with how big the Beatles are and this being known as really where they hit their stride or like one of the best. That's something to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
I just want to say I Abbey Road is gosh, probably top three most iconic album covers of all time. Dark Side of the Moon and Abbey Road are typically what's talked about when it's like the most recognizable. And I've always I understand why to a little bit, but really I don't understand how Sergeant Pepper didn't get the like best album. There's so much there. And
Oh
this is a
yeah.
side tangent, but I love the album cover of Sergeant Pepper probably more than I like the album, which is like a big thing to say, but I love that album cover. I love just sitting there and looking at and trying to find different things because you notice something different every time you look at it. And I just
Yeah.
really like the album cover, and it needed to be said.
Coming from
Yeah.
the artist. No.
Oh, I also wanted to say, with you talking about Octopus's Garden, sounding like Yellow Submarine and kids liking it. Yellow Submarine was on Guitar Hero, and that song was, I think, me and Wesley's one of our favorite songs to play on Guitar Hero because we liked that song so much. And
Yeah.
they had a little image of the Yellow Submarine and little guys dancing on it.
Nice.
It's good memories. So kids probably do like Octopus's Garden.
All right. So I'll give one interesting note before we move on to best beats and bars, just to in this case tie something back to Memphis. So and Charles, you're probably well aware of this, but a few months after Abbey Road was released, Booker T and the MGs recorded a mostly instrumental cover of the album, and they titled theirs Macklemore Avenue, which is the address of Stax Studios in Memphis. They even reproduced the album cover of the band walking across Macklemore Avenue,
They did.
just like the Beatles did in Abbey Road. So again, just because of the Memphis connection, I thought I'd throw that in there. So. Um,
Yeah. I bought it. Uh, yeah, I bought it, and I guess maybe you'd say it's an acquired taste. It's all instrumental.
yeah,
It's yeah, it's nice try. It's, but the cover's cool. That's what
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
say.
yeah.
You know,
The fact that they did that and and like went all in with it, like we're just gonna do it instrumental because we can. We're gonna call it Macklemore Avenue and we're gonna
that's
walk
cool.
across the street. Because again, Abbey Road outside of their studios, this one outside of Stack Studios, like it's just funny.
That was all very, very cool that they
Yeah,
did that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Riley, we'll get to best lyric. So you're in charge of that. So, Riley, what was your best lyric from Abbey Road?
So my favorite lyrics were from Something, which is funny, but I just the lyrics are so great. Pretty much any of them you can pull out and be like, that's such a beautiful lyric, I guess I would say. But the one that I just pulled out was something in the way she knows, and all I have to do is think of her, something in the things she shows me. Just beautifully put. Uh, like the all I have to do is think of her and something in the things she shows me. Like it just, I don't know how to say it other than that. And that's how you know it's a good lyric, is like that's a really good way of wording it. I don't know how else to word it or to re-explain it. It's just that.
And so, so I'll hop on next. And so my best beat is actually from the end. And so it's throughout the end, each of the Beatles gets a solo, an instrumental, I should say solo. So about 20 seconds, there's a Ringo solo where you can hear him going crazy on the drums. And then about 53 seconds, each of the other three have a guitar solo. And so you get two bars, so a period of each of them. So McCartney goes first, then Harrison, and then Lennon, and then they repeat back to McCartney, Harrison, and Lennon. And one of the things, Riley, you mentioned this, and this was also one of them said it, I think, but they really liked doing this because it let their personalities shine through. And so you can hear that McCartney's solo is a little bit more melodic. Harrison uses, the string bending to make that sound, and Lennon used a little bit more distortion than the other two. And so that's neat to hear their personality styles come through in those. And then at the very end of Lennon's second solo, it just jumps back to the tung, 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 tung of the piano where it hits that famous line that Charles mentioned, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make, and so the song just goes out after that. Which again, what a great way to end the album. Again, harmonizing with them coming in and singing. Um, so, Charles, what would you say if you had to give a best beat or bar or both? What's your favorite? What's something that stands out?
I
Or if
mean,
or if you have to give two or three, I guess we'll allow that to happen too.
no, really, reviewing the album, last month when I was driving cross country, it just came back to the last few minutes. Just, I mean, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth as far as these great little compact but fiery solos. Um, in terms of a groove or other sort of beat, maybe come together, which I can't even believe we haven't mentioned that song,
Yeah, I know.
another Lennon classic. But there's just something about that scramble at the end of the album, musically, that it's just like everyone plays perfectly. It fits, and then they're done. Although this doesn't have to do with instrumental, but I liked in Sun King where very briefly, uh, I think it's John is singing in Spanish, Paul
Mhm.
sang French, and Michelle, and you could say, oh, they're doing the foreign language thing again, but it's one verse, and then they just go on to more stuff, and I'm not even sure I know what the verse is means, but
Yeah.
um, but in terms of a beat, a riff, a solo, um, uh, I think I got to go with the jam at the very end. Everything else is, yeah, everything else is built around the song, and I don't know. I'd say they're outstanding solos. Actually, George has a great lead guitar solo in the middle of Octopus's Garden, but it's really about those last few minutes for me.
Yeah. And it is funny that we really haven't mentioned much about Come Together, but it does have a really cool bass line that starts the song and really drives throughout it. That bass line was nice. And what a, we talk about this all the time, I guess before we move on to songs of the week. Um, that when an album opens with a great song and closes with a great song, how sometimes you can forgive things that happen in the middle. And to me, Come Together and then, the golden slumber, carry that weight, and the end, man, what a way to start and end an album. Like that is really, really strong. I mean, the second
Yeah.
song is something. So I mean, you start it very strong, end it very strong. So again, that's really nice to see. Because again, in the 60s, I would think this is still at an era and a time where and obviously they did with the medley. They're putting these together in an order that means something, you know, and intended to listen in a certain order. So, um, So that's nice to see. All right. So song of the week, I guess. No,
Ratings?
ratings. I skipped them. So, um, Riley, what are your ratings?
Um, so my object personal rating is an 8.
All right.
I I really like it. Re-listening to it because we've talked about it before. I will say I liked it more than I remembered. I'm not a huge Beatles person, so I hadn't fully re-listened to the album. I had just taken the songs that I liked, and the second listen through period, I added more songs to my like songs, and took more and just enjoyed it. And so it got up to an 8. It's just not always my type of music. The happier go lucky, like Here Comes the Sun, Octopus Garden, and even Maxwell Silverhammer. This is not always what I want to listen to, even if I really like the song. It's just not one that I come back to. But they make up for that with songs like Come Together, Something, like She's So Heavy, I Want You, She's So Heavy. Like all of these songs that really have that bluesy feel again. So it ended up being an 8. But objectively, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, it's hard to objectively label an album a 10. Um, but like you've said, and we've all said, it's a near perfect album, um, from an objective standpoint. I think that's hard to argue against.
Yeah, and so did your ratings, if you may not remember them, did they go up?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't
so
remember.
I had mine written down, and mine, both of mine actually went up. So my personal rating is an 8. It went up because again, I like, oh yeah, I really like this. I really like this, and even looking at some of the notes I took, I'm like, you put that as a potential least favorite song. Like, why did you not like it? Because when I listen to it now, it's like, okay, what did I miss the first time? And where I changed the most was probably the objective rating, and just going back, and especially after we've done this a bit, like I gave it a 10. Even though I'm not a fan of Maxwell Silver Hammer, um, I can see um, I can I can appreciate everything that's going on there. And so for me, that being my least favorite song on it, it's like, okay, objectively, can I see what they're trying to do there? Can I understand it? Does it fit in with just the Beatles and this album? I'm like, yeah, it does. And then the weight of what Abbey Road has become being, maybe the end, even, however you recorded it, whatnot, just got a lot of weight to it. And so I was like, okay, I can give this one objectively, I can give it a 10. Charles, did you come up with ratings or just one?
Yeah. Uh, when when you said you guys were going to do Abbey Road and you wanted my input, I mean, I've listened to the album hundreds of times. I think I first bought it when I was 15 or 16, and I'm a little bit older now. Um, and so I've heard it a billion times. I've heard the outtakes of you know, of those songs as they were building them and creating them. I mean, if the Beatles sneezed and somebody put out an unauthorized record, I went out and got it. So those are all songs that I'm like, I'm familiar with each and every lick, every hiccup, everything about them. And I thought, but I haven't listened to a while. It's going to be kind of interesting to take that whole album in again. And so it was the part of the drive. I was going to New Jersey, Riley. And driving uh, east, I-40 east. And right as I got out of Nashville, headed towards Knoxville, and the sun's coming up, and I'm like, oh, I need to, I need to make a decision if I'm going to contribute to what you guys do because I didn't want to spoil it. Three's a crowd, uh, but I better listen to this album again, you know. So, and I just, I'm just like, wow, I forgot how great this was. Wow, I forgot how great this was all the way through. So is sort of the objective critic or uh, you know, the word escapes me, but sort of the unemotional rating would have been a 9. I don't see how uh, it'd be hard to give it less. But as a fan rating, 10 all the way. It was, and I don't give 10 all the way to everything. But I was just every part of it. I'm just like, man, I forgot how great this was. Man, I forgot how smart this was. Um, uh, yes, man, I forgot that Maxwell's a little annoying, but I stuck with it. Um, so even, I could be jaded and say, well, a 9. No album's perfect. It's not a 10. It's not Sergeant Pepper, blah, blah, blah. But no, as a fan, 10
All right, perfect.
completely.
Yeah. Which I kind of expected. But so real quick, you mentioned Sergeant Pepper. So before we go on to Song of the Week, which really gets us away from the Beatles and then our next album, favorite Beatles album? Is your favorite Beatles album Sergeant Pepper? Because I see most of the time, again, I'm not a Beatles person, so and the poster, which Riley, we still need to talk about the poster and all these things so that people know. The poster only has one album for each band, so there won't be a duplicate, there won't be another Beatles on this one. Notwithstanding, you talk about greatest albums ever, you may have two Beatles, three Beatles in the top 10, 15, 20 fairly easily. But what I've read for most of them is Abbey Road, Sergeant Pepper, Revolver. Is there one I'm missing? But those three seem to be consistently argued, debated as to which one is the best Beatles album. So, if I had to go listen to another Beatles album today, which direction would you steer me, Mr. Mooney?
Yeah, the revolutionary albums where they were just, they started out writing great, catchable, breezy pop songs, and they were great. And then with the help of their producer George Martin, they started to expand the definition of rock and roll by having like strings, by writing a song that mm, was influenced by Bob Dylan, and they started to just not have this collection of pop songs one after the other, singing about girls, every one of them. Want to hold your hand, she loves you, da da da. Uh, the part where everyone sort of agrees, here's where they really started to stretch and just take rock in a new direction. It starts with Rubber Soul. The argument about what's their greatest album is usually a back and forth. For years, the only answer was Sergeant Pepper because it was so revolutionary in what it did. But Revolver was too. So Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sergeant Pepper, um, and Abbey Road. Um, but the White Album, it's a double album. That's almost always not the best idea for the most talented artists. You're going to get some filler, but that one's great too. in terms of which is your favorite Beatles album, I would say, how many kids do you have, Todd?
I have two,
Just two? Oh, for some reason
just
I thought
two.
it was three.
No,
Okay, who? Just two.
that's my
Who's your?
other coworkers that
Okay, yeah, so right, we have a coworker that has five. Okay, so Todd, which one's your favorite child?
but depends on which one's around.
Oh,
Careful.
okay. But yeah, in terms of a favorite Beatle album, it's just like
Is it
uh,
hard to pick one?
depends on the day. Right now, it's kind of Abbey Road.
Yeah.
But if you've listened to Pepper, uh, uh, and are not familiar with Revolver, that's pretty wild. And Rubber Soul is it's that transition from pop to just there's a whole lot of other stuff going on. Uh, George had discovered Indian music, so you hear a sitar. They
That's
started using like backwards drum beats and stuff, which nobody did back then. It's great. Um, but yeah, those the three that I guess everyone says are the three greatest ones are probably Revolver, Pepper, Abbey Road, and then in a close fourth place, Rubber Soul.
Rubber Soul. Okay. All right. So, guess I got my work cut out for me. Some Beatles listens to get through. Um, song of the week, Riley. What was your song of the week?
So my song of the week. So we've talked about Spotify playing like songs after you finish the album.
Hmm.
And for me, usually it's not related song, it's songs by the artist. And this one came up and I just really liked it. It's a very feel-good song. I can't remember exactly which album it's off of. It's not one of their bigger songs, but it just really stood out to me. I really liked it. It's a song called Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. Do you know which album that's off of?
That's the same. So I got one off that album. It's called Careless Whispers.
No way.
Two Beatles classics. So
Yes.
we jest. You will have to go see Charles laugh a little bit. That's our running joke at work that I give him grief about the Beatles and Wham and Careless Whisper
Yeah. He
and
likes to
Full on.
name.
Charles has never been able to let it slide. He cannot just he can't let that one go. So I'll also will say he always defends the Beatles when I compare them to Wham, knowing that it's going to get a rise out of it.
Yeah. It is funny, although it's also outrageously insulting that you drop in that George Michael was in the Beatles.
This is true. I think he was. He was the fifth Beatle. Um,
Well, I
Um,
do actually have a
not
favorite.
George Martin. It was George
George
Michael,
Michael.
fifth Beatle. So,
Exactly.
all
I do also
Oh,
have
right.
a
that's
actual song of the
Song
week.
of the week. All right. That
Uh,
was our let's play a practical joke on Charles bit.
mhm.
All right. Song of the week, Riley. What's your real
so
song of the week?
okay, so I have two. One is very out there for me. But Kate, my roommate, we've mentioned her before. She introduced me to the song. It's much more her type of music, but I really like it. It's Juggernaut by Tyler, the Creator with Lil Uzi Vert. So not my music taste normally. I like Tyler, the Creator. I think he does very creative things, and that can too often his music is discredited for not sounding great, and it's like I think that's the point. He's very creative with different things, but this one I think sounds really nice. And then my other one has an incredible song title and an incredible band name, and it's very fun to tell people. It's "Shut Up, My Mom's Calling" by Hotel Ugly. Um, just a really good song. It just it's a little jazzy. It has good like a good voice. It's just a fun song. I really like it. And I forgot it existed. It was played in a lab once for me when I was like a freshman and doing labs in college. My TA would play music because he was the cool TA. And this one came on, and I like I went up and asked him. I made him share it with me, so I got the exact song. I love this song, and it just came up this week, and I remembered it. So, shut up, my mom's calling by Hotel Ugly.
Nice. So my song of the week came as I was mentioned. We went and visited the kids this past week and helped one of them move. And so driving home after that long drive home after a long weekend, fun weekend, but long weekend. This was the last song playing when we got home. So I was like, okay, that's a good ending song of the week for me. And it was Sixth Avenue Heartache by the Wallflowers. So background vocals are by Adam Duritz from the Counting Crows. It's from '96. And it's written by Jacob Dylan, son of Bob Dylan, which we talked about. And really, it's based on Dylan or Jacob's own experience living in New York City. He had a homeless man that would sit outside of his window and play music, and one day he was gone. And but all his stuff was still there, and his stuff just stayed there for a while until people started coming by and just taking the stuff away. And so this song is about that. Sixth Avenue Heartache by the Wallflowers. Um, so that's mine, Charles. You got a song of the week that you've been listening to this week besides the Beatles?
Um, uh, a couple, but at least in the case of one, I don't want to call it an endorsement. And you both may be familiar with this song, but I heard it for the first time at work during a collaboration meeting. It's by Lizzo, and it's called "Where My Phone."
Okay.
All
Have
right.
you have you heard it, Todd?
I have not heard that, but I will go listen to it. Riley, have you
Uh,
heard it?
I have uh that really caught me off guard. I'll give it to you. Does
The
she play trumpet or clarinet in that flute in that one?
I don't think there's any clarinet or flute in that song.
Do you
We're
know she
talking
plays
about
Yeah, she plays
flute
the
live?
flute. I did know she plays the flute very well, I might add.
Yeah, she plays it live at concerts and stuff. That's
uh,
funny.
I'm stunned to learn that because
Yeah,
the song is
where my phone. I was not expecting that, Charles. I
I
will
wouldn't
go
expect
I
when
will
I
go give it
heard
a
it, I
listen.
wasn't expecting. But it's just it's hilarious. But it is just it is a street club song
Okay.
and um and it's abusing. And the other one, like I didn't think we could mention older songs like Sixth Avenue Heartache.
You can mention whatever
I,
you're listening to,
I've
Charles.
but I've always got quite a few, rotating in the head, but they're
Yeah.
they're almost always 10 years or older. Um, but I did hear a cool song off a cool new artist that we saw open for Dwight Yoakam. It's a singer-songwriter, country singer-songwriter named Ashley McBride. Uh, have either of y'all heard of her?
I
Got a
don't think
We're
song.
not
so.
country people, so
Okay.
it's good to get some country representation in the podcast.
Well, and she is, but she is country modern, where it's
Mm.
Okay.
almost rock with twang. And she has a song called Rattlesnake Preacher. And she opened for Dwight Yoakam. I didn't know anything about her other than like she played like 10 different songs, and I'm like these are all good. Um
Hmm.
uh Rattlesnake Preacher, I think, stuck with me.
Okay.
Um but and then she got snubbed. There was I think the CNA or this whatever the country music Grammys organization is, uh people expected her to get Best New Artist, and she didn't. And there was a whole
Mm.
uproar.
Mm.
But as far as sure, I can go to my trusty jukebox here
Oh,
and see what has lately. Well, of course, been kind of playing a lot of the Beatles, and but as far as anything in heavy rotation, that's kind of been it the last couple of weeks. Um, uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
been the Beatles.
Yeah. Oh, obviously the Beatles.
Yeah.
Uh, that's kind
It
of
it is neat to every once in a while you realize, you know what, I haven't delved into, my favorite band in some time, and then you just go listen to them again and realize, oh yeah, this is why I like them. So it's neat to be able to do that.
yeah.
Um, all right, so Riley, I guess we're ready for next album. Or well, I guess before that we should say again, thanks to Charles. It's been fun. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing
Yeah.
everything. We when we make it to I know we've got Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. I don't know when. I know we've got a Bruce album too. Not sure which one it is. But given that those are the three Bs, if you're up for it, we may have you back again just to talk about those. And we're also on socials, so Instagram, X, Facebook, I think are the three. Barber Cuts Pod. We are also on YouTube, so you can go watch our three boxes this time instead of the normal two at our YouTube channel, Barber Cuts Pod, as well. So now that that is out of the way, Riley, what is our next album?
Our next album was actually mentioned already today. It's Hotel California by the Eagles. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm
So
excited. I
nice.
like this album.
So,
Great
Spoiler.
album. Yeah, I'll definitely be tuning in for that.
so a band that can
Okay.
actually a band that can actually win a Grammy,
And not be there for it.
Yeah.
So,
much like the Sex Pistols getting inducted into the Hall of Fame and not showing up. It's just the rock and roll thing to do. So Hotel California. So go give Hotel California a listen and then tune back in and hear what we have to say about it. Until next time, I'm Todd,
Man,
uh,
I
and I'm ready.
and that's Charles.
and I'm the special guest, and I was
And
just
that's Charles.
thrilled to be here. It's a ton of fun.
Awesome.
And this has been another episode of Barber Cuts.